How consistent does your dink need to be? Well, very. But what's more important?
Being able to hit 130 dinks in a row inside the kitchen, or being able to hit 10 world-class dinks?
I know what I'd choose. I also know you've got a lot of choices when it comes to dink technique.
There's the just get it back dink, there's the slice everything dink, and there's the gotta be a volley dink.
Today, however, we're going to take a look at a more dangerous kind of dink. The kind of dink that will terrorize your opponent's sense of kitchen security.
That's right, it's the cross-court topspin forehand dink.
Full disclosure, to get serious topspin on a dink, it does need to be taken as a volley.
Balls that have bounced rarely allow for rough and dial on clay kind of spin, but the shot is incredibly effective regardless. Luckily, the techniques that I'll be discussing today can also be used for volleys, so let's get straight into it.
The first thing we need to address with the setup is the court position you'll need to find just before contact.
This position and how it relates to your grip is paramount in making this shot consistent enough to be part of your repertoire.
While we're on the subject, do you know what grip you use? If not, go back to our video entitled Get a Grip. Seriously. Oh, wait.
The reason your grip is important is because that will determine where your most comfortable contact point will be. The good news, depending on your wrist flexibility, you'll be able to play this shot with anywhere from an Eastern forehand to a continental grip.
To give you an idea if your wrist flexibility and your grip is suitable for this shot, I need you to try this.
Take your paddle and extend that arm out in front of you. Rotate clockwise. How far around the clock can you comfortably go? 6 o'clock is excellent. 5 is not bad, but anything earlier than 4 o'clock, then it's time to work on that inner elbow.
If you're in the 4 to 5 p.m. range, I've got some good news and some bad.
The bad news for many of you is you'll be needing something close to, if not the continental grip. The good news is, armed with that grip, you'll have quite a range of low contact points available to you, including wider balls that an Eastern grip couldn't possibly get around. If you're in the 5 to 6 p.m. range, then you'll be able to use something more towards the Eastern forehand grip and enjoy the greater amounts of topspin that can be gained at slightly higher contact points. The bad news here is the grip will require better footwork as your contact point really does need to be well within your stance, if not close to your left foot.
Regarding proximity to the kitchen line, this is where some of you might get a little uncomfortable.
In this sense, either you need to be quick enough to move back off the line after reading your opponent's dink, or you'll need to start back off the line so you don't need to take the time to do it. The reason for this is because it's very helpful to have a falling ball at contact when we're trying to create topspin.
Okay, with positioning taken care of, now it's time to look at the stroke itself. To do this, I want you to imagine a clock.
Not just any clock, a magic clock. Your wrist is the little hand, your elbow is the big hand, and your shoulder is the entire clock. You can spin the ball with any of these. Here's what it looks like with just the wrist, just the elbow, and finally just the shoulder. Do any of these look right? No. The key to being proficient at this dangerous kind of dink is knowing how much of each of these is required at any given situation. Let's start with around the left foot level. Eastern forehand grip players rejoice, for this is the dink you've been waiting for. Swing left early and drop the paddle like it's the hammer of Thor. In this position, 6 o'clock shouldn't be a problem, and therefore you'll have plenty of sweet spot under the contact point to be able to brush up and create our beloved topspin. To initiate the forward stroke, you're going to want to use a smooth combination of your elbow and your wrist. The motion starts with the elbow, and as we get closer to contact, the wrist adds the icing to the cake and really decides just how much spin you'll be putting on the ball. As the contact point gets closer to the mid-stance, we'll be needing to incorporate more of your elbow and less of your wrist. There's less of our body behind the contact point and facing the intended target, so we'll need to use the lever that has some more power. Elbow and forearm can do a great job of setting the necessary paddle angle, and the wrist is still used to accelerate the brushing motion, albeit not as much as in the last example.
Lastly, let's look at what happens when the ball gets wide of you.
In this situation, don't panic. Just know that you won't be getting much topspin. It'll likely be just side spin. So it needs to be handled with a little more care. You won't have the luxury of using the wrist and elbow too much. Instead, you'll be working primarily from the shoulder. The job of your wrist and forearm is to create the correct paddle angle and then to apply the necessary grip and wrist pressure that will essentially lock these levers in place. The kind of ball that will require this technique is also the kind of ball that won't give you much time to move back off the line, which means it will more than likely be a rising ball. Cut it off early before it gets any further away from you, and remember, don't let that wrist buckle. You'll feel like the running man after not long. Like all shots in pickleball, this will take some time to develop, but don't despair. This is what drilling partners are for. The important thing is to keep in mind we are trading something here. There's no free lunch.
We are giving up an ounce of consistency for a pint of offense. However, I assure you, if you put in the work to build this shot, you're going to become the dangerous dinker you were born to be. Good luck. How to hit the cross-court topspin forehand dink, or the CCTFD. How to hit, it is what it is. Hey, I forget what I write. I like the sauce. I don't remember what I wrote here. What do you think I have to take a few takes? Yeah. Plane. Bugger. Bloody planes. I forgot what I was going to say now. This sounds great. Oh, I got more to say.